Title: The Struggle for Kuki Territory, the Battle for Western Myanmar, and the Role of the KAB and PLA. Chafaturand. Introduction. The conflict in Western Myanmar, territories traditionally known as the Kuki Independence Hills, has become one of the most complex and politically charged struggles in Southeast Asia. At the heart of this battle is the Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, a militant organization working closely with the People's Defense Force, PDF, of Burma, as they try to protect the Kuki people and their ancestral land from the territorial advances of the Meitei insurgents. This group, along with its allies, such as the Kuki Independence Army, KIA, has sought to resist external forces that threaten the sovereignty of the Kuki regions. Meanwhile, the Meitei People's Liberation Army, PLA, and its affiliated groups like the United National Liberation Front, UNLF, are branded as terrorist organizations by the Indian government. These Meitei insurgents, supported by their terrorist allies, continue to engage in violent clashes with the Kuki forces in an attempt to expand their territorial ambitions into the Kuki Independence Hills. This documentary will explore the complex dynamics between the KNAB, KIA, the Meitei terrorists, and their allies, as well as the ongoing battle for control of these strategically significant regions. The situation remains a volatile, deeply rooted conflict driven by territorial, political, and ethnic aspirations. Note: the video content and references used in this documentary are under YouTube's fair use policy. The views expressed in this video do not reflect those of Zalengam Media. For more updates and to support our work, please subscribe to Zalengam Media. Nafatanaftuti. Historical context of the Kuki and Meitei conflict. Ethnic and territorial background. The Kuki people are an indigenous ethnic group residing in the border regions of Myanmar and India, particularly in the states of Manipur and Mizoram in India. Historically, these lands, known as the Kuki Independence Hills in western Myanmar, have been the homeland of the Kuki people, who have a distinct language, culture, and identity. In contrast, the Meitei community, which is predominantly concentrated in the Imphal Valley in India's Manipur state, has historically held ambitions for an independent homeland. This vision has led to long-standing tensions with neighboring ethnic groups, including the Kuki people. Over time, this tension has escalated into armed conflict, with the Meitei-led insurgent groups seeking to control the region and expand their territorial influence, while the Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, has fought to maintain their autonomy. The KNAB and KIA, partners in resistance. The Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, which operates primarily in western Myanmar, is a key military force defending the Kuki Independence Hills. It has formed strong alliances with the Kuki Independence Army, KIA, and is actively involved in coordinating military resistance against the incursions of both the Myanmar military junta and the Meitei insurgents. The KNAB has trained thousands of fighters in Kachin State, where the KIA has a significant presence. The KNAB and KIA share a mutual interest in securing the autonomy of the Kuki people and preventing external forces from destabilizing their land. The KNAB's strategic collaboration with the KIA is essential to their ongoing resistance. Thousands of KNAB fighters have undergone training in Kachin State, where the KIA has supported their efforts to enhance combat skills, tactics, and operational planning. This partnership has helped bolster the KNAB's military capabilities, allowing it to defend the Kuki Independence Hills from both the Myanmar military and Meitei forces. The Meitei terrorist groups, PLA and UNLF. The Meitei People's Liberation Army, PLA, along with the United National Liberation Front, UNLF, is a major player in the ongoing conflict in the region. The Indian government has officially labeled these groups as terrorist organizations due to their violent activities and insurgent operations. The PLA, in particular, has a long history of seeking an independent Meitei homeland, and its actions have often included violent attacks on Kuki civilians and military personnel. The Meitei insurgents, aided by their terrorist allies, have attempted to expand their reach into the Kuki territories. Their goal is to exert control over the Kuki Independence Hills, an area rich in resources and strategically important. However, these ambitions have been met with fierce resistance from the Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, and its allies in the KIA and PDF. The war for the Kuki Independence Hills, military clashes, and the human cost. The ongoing war between the Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, and the Meitei insurgents is a brutal and devastating affair. Armed clashes have resulted in numerous casualties, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The KNAB and its allies, including the KIA and PDF, have defended their homeland fiercely, while the Meitei terrorist groups continue to push their offensive. The military confrontations often spill over the borders, drawing in both Myanmar's military junta and Indian security forces into the complex web of conflict. The humanitarian toll on the Kuki civilian population has been severe. Thousands of Kuki families have been displaced due to the ongoing violence, with many becoming internally displaced persons, IDPs, seeking refuge in neighboring Mizoram in India or in other areas of Myanmar. Refugee camps have become overcrowded, and the international community has been slow to respond to the crisis. Meanwhile, the Meitei insurgents, despite their terror label, continue to carry out raids, targeting Kuki villages and military posts. Reports indicate that the PLA and UNLF, while claiming to represent the Meitei people's desire for independence, have engaged in numerous acts of terror against the Kuki population, including bombings, kidnappings, and executions. KNAB and KIA, fighting back with allied forces. Despite the heavy odds, the KNAB and KIA remain resolute in their determination to protect the Kuki Independence Hills. With support from the PDF and other ethnic militias within Myanmar, they have been able to mount a sustained resistance against both the Meitei forces and the Myanmar military junta. The KNAB's extensive training in Kachin State has proven invaluable, allowing them to conduct guerrilla operations and launch retaliatory strikes against Meitei positions. The KNAB and KIA have also developed a sophisticated intelligence network, closely monitoring the situation and responding to threats from Meitei forces. Their coordination with the PDF further strengthens their resolve, providing them with much-needed support in terms of logistics, weapons, and strategic planning. The international and regional dimension. India's role and regional dynamics. India's involvement in the conflict is primarily influenced by its concerns about security in its northeastern states. The Meitei insurgents, including the PLA and UNLF, are primarily based in India, and the Indian government has expressed concerns over the growing influence of the Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB, in Myanmar. India's government has long struggled with insurgencies in its northeastern states, and the Kuki insurgency is no exception. However, India's official stance remains largely focused on containing the violence while also trying to maintain relations with Myanmar's military junta. At the same time, India faces growing pressure from its northeastern states, particularly Mizoram, where Kuki internally displaced persons IDPs have crossed the border seeking refuge. India must navigate its delicate relationship with Myanmar while addressing the domestic challenges posed by the influx of IDPs and the possibility of further destabilization in its own border regions. The role of Myanmar's military junta. Myanmar's military junta has played a central role in the conflict, particularly as it relates to the Kuki territories in western Myanmar. The junta has occupied large areas of the Kuki Independence Hills, bringing these regions under its control and making it increasingly difficult for the KAB and KIA to operate freely. In addition to engaging in direct confrontations with Kuki forces, the Myanmar military has used its influence to align with certain Meitei groups, further complicating the regional power dynamics. Omissions. Conclusion and call to action. The conflict for control over the Kuki Independence Hills is far from over. The Kuki Army of Burma, KNAB and KIA, continue to stand strong against the combined forces of the Meitei insurgents, Myanmar's military junta, and other terrorist groups. Despite facing immense challenges, these Kuki forces remain determined to protect their homeland and culture from external threats. As the battle for the Kuki regions continues to unfold, the international community must take more active steps to address the humanitarian crisis and work towards a peaceful resolution of the conflict. Until then, the Kuki people, led by the KNAB and its allies, will continue to fight for their sovereignty and the protection of their land. This video is brought to you by Zalengam Media, which does not author the content of this article. All videos used are under YouTube's fair use policy. For more updates and to support our efforts, please subscribe to Zalengam Media.